Hey everybody, it's Gary the Google Guy here, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. It's not just a basic how-to, it is not an update. We are actually going to do an interactive class together. So if you would, go down into the description field, you'll find a link to the file that you currently see on my screen. Go ahead and open that up and make a copy. Actually, really, go ahead right now. I'll pause. Okay, so now that you've made a copy, what we're going to do today is we're actually going to work in this same file together. So what I would like to do is go through how to use some of the essential things that I use every day. And I'm going to make this into a series. So this is just going to be part one. Now with that, I'm going to demonstrate something on how to do it. I'll go slow that you can follow along. And then I'd like you to try the same thing in your sheet that you'll have open as well. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and get started. Now, most of us will probably inherit a spreadsheet, so I'll show you a couple of things of what you can do to enhance what you've already got started. Or if you are starting from scratch, there's a couple of things that you can do from there. Such as if you go to your file menu in the upper left corner of your screen and you click on that new or hover over the new menu, you will see that we can begin a new spreadsheet from scratch, or there is a template gallery. Now, I'm a big believer of not having to start from scratch. Reason being, there are too many templates and things out there that already has the walls and the foundation ready for you. All you got to do is tweak some things to make it fit for what you're trying to do. Now, saying that, you can also access the template gallery from your main Drive screen. New button, hover over Google Sheets, you'll see a little arrow just to the right, and you can access the template gallery from there. Scroll through the selections, click on one that you would like, and then I would advise you to rename it so it means something to you. And then off you go. So templates are a great way to get started. Now, another thing that we can do is we can actually copy and paste from an Excel format file that maybe I've uploaded into Drive into my Google format sheet. So at the top of my screen, I have a spreadsheet. If you look in the upper left, you'll see that this is Excel format, and I can grab data from this. I can either right click, Control C, come back into my new spreadsheet, and then I can paste. So you'll see I've taken stuff from an Excel format file, pasted it into my Google format file. Now, before we get started with the interactive portion of our session, another thing that I'll address is this. A lot of people coming over from Excel will say, well, can it do this? Can Google Sheets handle this formula? Here's what I would advise. Up in the top of your menus, you'll see a help menu. From there, go to the bottom and you will see a function list. This list is going to have everything and anything that you can do formula-wise within Google Sheets. Now, if you're used to using certain formulas in Excel, I would advise you to come into this filter with keywords area, and maybe you use things like a VLOOKUP. Start typing in the first couple letters of that specific formula you're used to using, and go through the list and see if it's there. And lo and behold, there is my VLOOKUP. It'll show you the syntax on how to use it, the information needed, and if you really need a detailed look at it, you'll have a learn more option just to the right in the description box there for you to really go through on maybe those, 10, 20 formulas that you use the most in your sheets, Excel or Google. Now, once again, that is underneath the help menu. Go to the function list and pull it up. It will pull it into a new window. I would advise you to bookmark it, especially if you're just beginning with Google Sheets. And that way you can kind of check things out at your own pace or refer to it whenever you need it. Okay, so now that we've done that, let's get busy. So probably the most basic thing I can show you how to do is how do you add a tab, how do you color code it, and how do you move it into the order that you want. So let's concentrate on the bottom left corner of our screen. The first thing that we can do is we can click on that plus symbol. This will add an additional sheet. By default, you'll see it goes right next to my current tab that I was in. In this case, it names it Sheet 3. So one of the first things that I want to do is probably rename it and color code it. So if I go just to the right, you'll see a little arrow. And if we click on that, in the menu that will pop up, you'll see a couple of options. So one of the first things that you may want to do, just so you can visually pick it out, is go to Change Color. With Change Color, you can go into that menu and you can pick what you want. So once again, add that sheet with the plus symbol in the bottom left. Now that you've got that, go to that new sheet and it should say Sheet 3 just like mine. Click the little arrow just to the right of where it says Sheet 3. And in that menu, go to Change Color. And you can pick whatever color you'd like. So I'm just going to pick red so it really stands out on our video today. And now you'll see a line underneath the tab. So it doesn't color the entire tab, but it gives you a line underneath it so you can identify your different tabs according to color. Okay, now the next thing I'd like you to do is to move that tab. And to move this tab, you can do just a quick drag and drop. So everybody with me now, go to the bottom of our screen, click and hold on where it says Sheet 3, and then drag just to the right of MLB and let go. And you'll see we've now color coded and we have moved that sheet over to the right. Okay, so to quickly review, in the lower left corner, you're clicking the plus symbol to add a new sheet. To the right of where it says Sheet 3 in the bottom left of our screen, you're going to click the little arrow. In that menu, you're going to choose Color, and then you're going to color that tab to whatever you would like. Now, throughout our session today, feel free to use your spacebar or pause the video to actually do what we're doing. I'm also going to include a list of chapters so you can go back and review anything that maybe you either missed or you just didn't quite get the first time around. I'll also try to leave just a little bit of a few seconds pause so that you have an option to get to your spacebar or to pause the video and accomplish what we're trying to do. I'm going to go a little slower than I typically go in a normal class. So now the next thing that you may want to do, and you can do this to a new sheet, you can do this to any sheet that you've already got in existence. And that is making your data just a little bit easier to read and work with. So what we're going to do first is we're going to go up to the upper left corner of our screen. And between A, as in column A, and 1, what we want to do is we want to click that little box just to the left and upper left of that A1 area. This is a default select all. So it's going to select everything in your sheet. So go ahead and do that. So once again, it's that box between A and 1 in the upper left corner of, and that'll do a default select all. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our format menu up at the very top, select, and then from the format menu, you're going to see an option down near the bottom to choose alternating colors. I really like this because it makes following your data, especially in a large spreadsheet, a lot easier. So click on alternating colors. You'll then see a window pop out to the right side of your screen. Now, to show you what we did, we selected already in the upper right that range by doing a select all of 1 to 1000. Everything. If you haven't selected it yet, you can click on that little box, select the range that you want to do this color for, because maybe it's only a part of a spreadsheet you want to do this for. You can do that. And then from there, you can apply this rule to whatever you would like data selection. Okay, styles. Most of us probably have a header at the top telling us what the name of each column is. You can select header, it will select it by default. Just to the right of that, you'll see footer. So if you've got a footer, you can add that too. And then underneath that, you'll see an option to choose something from a default style already set up for you, or underneath, you'll see custom styles. You can pick the own color of its header that you want, and then your colors that you want alternating. So it's kind of a you get to pick it. Customize it for whatever you want. For me today and for you, I think it would be just easier to select one of the default styles to get started. So let's click on one of our styles. I think I'm just going to select the purple one today. And now we have our purple, white, and light purple rows. Now I can always change this up at any point in time and come back to it if I would like to. You'll also see an option down in the bottom right corner of our screen to remove those alternating colors and to begin again. Okay, so once again, you're selecting all. Go to the top left of your screen, go to the Format menu, select Alternating Colors. In the window that pops out to the right side of the screen, if you haven't already selected your range, you can. But then underneath that, select one of the default styles, and you'll see that it will give you the option for what you've selected. In this case, we're going to click on Done, and that gets rid of that window. Now when we click anywhere in our spreadsheet, so now we can follow our rows a lot faster and a lot easier. I'll give you a moment to complete this if you haven't already done so, so feel free to pause here and go ahead and do this. Okay, so now that we've got this nice pretty spreadsheet to start working with, let's show you some things that you can do to enhance what you do or to begin from scratch. So one of the things that I use all the time is data validation. And don't be intimidated, this is fairly easy, but data validation can decrease the amount of errors for people entering data into your spreadsheet, especially if you share this item out. So how does data validation work? Well, let's do this together. So let's select one of our cells in our nice clean sheet. I'm going to select one of the white ones just so it's really easy for you to see. So select a cell somewhere on your sheet. Now, up at the top, go to your Data menu. In the Data menu, you're going to go down to Data Validation and click. From there, you will see a window appear to the right side of your screen, and we're going to go to the right side and click on that plus symbol for adding a rule. So how do we do data validation? Well, here is one method, and I'll give you another method for you to use as well. To begin, we've just selected a cell, but you can do an entire range if you want. The criteria, you're going to see several options of things that we can do. We can do a drop down from a range, text contains, and so on, date, greater than, less than values, checkboxes, custom formulas, and none. So there's a number of things that you can do. You can do whatever you would like. Here is one method. Let's do a drop down first. Now from there, you will see that we can actually color code our drop downs to what we would like. So let's pick a red. Let's pick a blue. And then option one, you're going to grab that and type something in there. And this can be something, we'll call it politically corrective, like you do in a project management sheet. Complete, in progress, on hold. I am going to be a little funky, and I'm going to type in Luke. Yes, I'm a little bit of a Star Wars geek. We're going to grab option 2, and I am going to put Leia. And then we'll click away. You can always come back here and update them. You can trash them and delete them, and we can add additional items. Under advanced options, you'll see that if someone doesn't pick what you're trying to get here, show help for text, meaning add a value between 1 and 100 or whatever it may be. Now the next piece is do you want to reject the input that someone's trying to do other than what you want, or do you want to show a warning? This text must be A or B, or between 1 and 100, or whatever it may be. And then display style. Do you want a chip, an arrow, or plain text? We're going to do a chip for now, and this will give us this oval type of shape if we look at our cell to pick from. If we click on arrow, you'll see it will give us the entire cell with just a little arrow to pick from there. And then plain text, we're just waiting for someone to input something in there. So pretty much the two styles that you're going to look at are probably going to be a chip with the oval. If you don't want the oval, then do the arrow, and that's the full cell. I think I'll start off with doing the chip. We'll come back and show you what the other one looks like. We'll do done. And now we've got that value set in that cell. If we click the little arrow, now you'll see that whoever's inputting data here cannot screw it up. It's one or the other. So I use that all the time. Now let's go back and let's add another rule for the cell next to it. So we're going to add a rule. We're going to click drop down again. And then this time, let's do a different color. And then option 1, we'll do Han. Option 2, Yoda. We'll click advanced options. And then under display style, click arrow. And then done. So here's a quick little trick for you. If you're wanting this to be a value set in an entire column or an entire row, in the bottom right corner of the cell, you'll see a little box. Click on that and drag down for however many cells you want. You'll see it will duplicate that and all of our choices underneath that data validation cell. So once again, we're going to grab our cell. We're going to click on the little blue box in the bottom right corner and then drag downward and let go. So what does this look like when people have entered text? Let's do it. Click the arrow in your drop-down chip and select one of your options. Then go to the right, click one of your arrow options and select. So what we've done is we've added data validation. This helps eliminate errors for input, whether it's spelling errors from people typing text, value errors of it needs to be within a range, that kind of a thing. So data validation can be a really, really helpful tool in your spreadsheets. Now, you'll also look to the right that if I take my cursor and hover over those different rules, and I can always get back to this by going to the menu, clicking on data validation, it will pull up my different rules that have already got set. And then if I decide that I need to delete one of these or update a range, I can either click on remove or just click on the actual rule. And then from there, you can update your range in the upper right corner. All right. If you've been keeping up, good job. Next up, let's add a column of checkboxes. So let's start off by grabbing an entire column area. And then what we want to do is we're going to go up to the insert menu. And in the insert menu, you're going to go down to checkbox. So once again, grab your column. You're going to go to the insert menu in the upper left and then down to checkbox. And you'll see it's given us our checkboxes here. Now, just to piggyback on what I already showed you, notice our chips and our data validation cells. If you go to that same insert menu, you will see an option for drop down to be able to use here. And that will bring up that same data validation set that you can pick and do and follow along like we did previously. Just wanted to point it out. It's another option for you. Okay, your sheet should look similar to mine in terms of you've got a couple of columns of data validation and a column of checkboxes. So now let's piggyback on what we just learned with the drop down. Here is another great tool for you to add things on in the same format as that initial drop down that we did. These are chips. Let's go ahead and use the @ symbol in a cell. You'll see it will pull up options for adding people chips, file chips, calendar events, or creating the dropdown like we've already done with our Luke and Leia one. Now, I can also get to the same thing from that insert menu, and you'll see chips. So I'll show you that in just a minute, but let's add one of each of these other than the dropdown because we've already done that. So at symbol, in your menu, select a person. Now take your cursor and hover over that person's name. You'll see it will pull up a contact card. The information that you have about that contact, whether it's just an email address, a name like mine is, but it could show you a little bit more detailed information. Now go to just to the right side of that. Once again, at symbol. So this is Shift and the number 2 on your keyboard. And then from there, go to your files and select a file that maybe you previously have worked on. You'll see it pulls a link up to that. And now if I hover over it, you'll actually see it's got a little preview of what that file is going to be, and you can get right to it from there. So far you've inserted a link to a contact so you can get more information about that person. And you've also inserted a link to a document or file in your Google Drive. Okay, now let's go to the right of that, select a new cell, at symbol once again, and go down near the bottom and you'll see an option for calendar events. So if you look at calendar events, this will have things that are on your Google Calendar that you can connect your data to as well. And we can select something that's either already occurred, is currently happening, or something in the future. So we'll select that. Puts it in a nice, neat little chip. But if I take my cursor and hover over that, it's going to pull up whatever information from that event that I've got on there. So that is using people chips, file chips, and calendar chips. Now you can find these once again with your at symbol, or if you go to the upper left and under insert, you'll see down near the bottom, there will be smart chips, people, files, and calendar events. So a couple of different ways that you can access things, add information to your sheets from there. Okay, I'll take a quick break here just for a moment, just so that we make sure that we're all caught up in doing what we need to do. Like I said before, if you need to refer back to what we've already done, click on the link for the chapter in the description below, and you can get right to it and watch that portion again. Or just pause and go back and follow what we did if you can remember from that. All right, so now hopefully everybody's caught up to where I'm at, and here's another couple of tools for you. So another key that is kind of neat to use is your F11 key. It will put you into full screen mode, and you can now utilize that. Or if you hit F11 again, it gets back into tab mode. So just wanted to show you that real quick. And then the other thing that you can use, and I may typically use this when I'm presenting, is in the upper right corner, you will see a little arrow. And if you click on that little arrow, it will hide your menus. And it will just give you a little bit more real estate. Click it again, and it will pop it back down. So like I said, I typically use that for presenting. So if you want to try that, go for it. But then what we're going to do is we are now going to go to the bottom left of our screen, and we're going to go into our MLB tab. So click on that. So once again, everybody go to MLB and click on that tab. And another tool that I want to give you is a tool that I will use quite often, especially if I've inherited material or someone sends stuff to me and I want to just copy and paste it from an email or another spreadsheet, something like that. And probably the most common thing is going to be text or names that's put together. So if we look at column A, you'll see that this is a bunch of names. Now, if I want to sort this, it's not going to be really easy to sort because it's the first name and last name. So if you want to, you have the ability of grabbing this data and then separating that first name and last name. So this is, like I said, a tool for your toolbox. If you need to use it, here's how you can do this. So here's what I'd like you to do. Go up to A2 and grab Glenn Abbott and scroll all the way down until you get to row 36 with Carl Willis and let go. Okay, now once you've done that, we're going to go to the upper right corner of the screen and we're going to go to our data menu. And in that data menu, you're going to go down near the bottom to split text to columns and click. Now you'll look in the bottom left corner of my screen. It's got separator and detect automatically. If you don't want it to detect automatically, you can click on that and you'll see your options are detect automatically, comma, semicolon, period, space, or something custom. Maybe it's a custom symbol that you have in that text. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to say the space between the names, but I could do detect automatically too. And you'll see it's separated first name and last name into two separate columns. So I really like that. I use that all the time, especially if I'm dealing with people's names. People give those names to me in an email, copy that column, paste it into a spreadsheet, and then I want to separate them so that I can sort them maybe alphabetically or reverse alphabetically. So that's another really cool tool to be able to use there. Okay, so just to review, if you haven't done this yet, grab that entire A column, minus where it says name up at the very top. So A2 all the way down to A36. And then from there, you're going to go up to the top under your data menu. Down near the bottom of that menu, you're going to select split text to columns. And then in the bottom left of your screen, you'll see separator, and then it will say detect automatically. Click inside that detect automatically box, and you can pick which one you want. In this case, it was just a space, or you could leave it as detect automatically. And you can separate your columns. Now, if you look to the right side of our screen in our data, we have this entire column under G that we could do the same thing for. So let's practice. G2, scroll all the way down, data menu up at the top, split text to columns, and this time we can do detect automatically, or we could pick comma, because that's what it was, and you'll see that automatically it's separated, in this case, either countries or states, separated from the city or town that they were from. Okay, so I'll give you a chance to do that. I'll pause here for a moment. Go ahead and pause the video and follow that. Okay, now for this next one, we're going to go to the bottom left corner of our screen and we're going to click on our Stocks tab. So with the Stocks tab, we're going to do a few things here, so bear with. So there's a few things that I will typically do, especially if it's numerical, date, numbers type of data. Most of the stuff that I typically do is going to be project management type stuff, so fairly text related. But there's a few tools that I do want to show you from here in case you are more numerically based. So if you're typically numerically based, you're probably going to spend a little bit of time analyzing and looking at your data. So let's look at a couple of tools that we've got to help you out with that. Here's what I would like you to do. We're going to talk about conditional formatting, and this can do wonders for analyzing data. It's a quick visual on hot, cold, high, low, different types of values that you're looking for within a spreadsheet, no matter how big or how small your sheet is. So let's demonstrate this. Let's look at column C. We have this column that's going to be of high values for stocks from 2015. With those high values, I want to see when in the month, or maybe a trend that I'm looking for here, when are things high, when are things low comparatively. So here's what we've done. We've selected our data. So C2 down to C23. From there, we are going to go up to the top to our format menu. And down near the bottom, you're going to see conditional formatting. Select that. Now you'll see a window appear to the far right side of the screen. It's going to base off of a single color. Now we can do a single color if we want, if we're looking for just a single value. But what we want to do is we want to see a trend. What's the hot? What's the cold? The high, the low, that kind of thing. let's click the tab that says Color Scale. Now, when we do this, just underneath, you'll see it says Apply to Range, which in this case, our range is C2 to C23 that we've selected. Now let's set our format rules. So what do we want to do? If you click on where it says Preview, you can click on that green bar and it will give you some preset color options to determine your trends, your highs, your lows, and whatnot there. So you can pick that. Or you can click Custom Color Scale and you can pick your own colors. Now, another way of doing this is going under and seeing the minimum point value, midpoint, max point. If you click on those little arrows to the right of values, you'll see it says min value, number, percent, percentile. We're going to do number on all of them, but I'm really only going to look at the high and the low. Now I can leave this green as is if I want, or what I can do is I can actually choose my colors. So let's think of a stoplight or hot and cold. Go to the right for the paint bucket. For the minimum value, we could do, say, green if you want to do stoplight. Midpoint, yellow. High point, red. Or let's just think of like hot and cold water. We want to look at a trend. I want my minimum value. Let's put a cool color on that, like blue. And then my high value for red. And then maybe my minimum, or midpoint, I should say, let's do just a gold, just to see if the trend is there. So if we look at what we've done for just this one column, I can quickly and visually identify the highest prices this stock was in the entire month, the lowest price that it ever was, and if I change a value, like that 259, which is ungodly low for that, how about we do 555, and we click. You'll notice that it immediately changes and updates with that. Depending on what you've selected, you can pick those different numbers in the values, or you can pick what your own range is. So we can say instead of 259, maybe whatever the minimum value is, we can click. What's the mid value, depending on the data that you've selected? And then we can go to maximum value. And you can really look at the trend of hot and cold. So conditional formatting can be really helpful. And you'll also see in the bottom right corner of our screen, you can add additional rules and maybe set different color trends for those. That is conditional formatting. So once again, let's do it together. Let's go ahead and grab the close column because we're going to add another rule. Now you can do this grab before or after. I'm going to click on that E column, add another rule. We'll grab our range and we'll trash that one because we don't want it to apply to the same. Okay. And you'll see it's immediately adjusted that. Now I could also say for this value, this range, I want to do something different, color-wise and whatnot there. So you can add additional rules, just like we did with our data validation. Once again, we can grab our data before or after. Conditional formatting is underneath the Format menu. Conditional formatting pops the window out. You'll see your rules that are in existence. You can delete anytime. You can update your range anytime. You can add additional rules for that same sheet, same columns worth of data and whatnot there. Let's look at another way that you can quickly identify and look at your data. So this time what we want to do is we're going to grab column B. So let's go to B2 and drag down. Let go and don't do anything yet. All we've done is we've selected some data. Now here is one of the quickest tools that you can use for looking at minimum, maximum, how many cells have you grabbed, and averages, which I personally use all the time for this stuff. So you can grab any amount of cells. And then if you look in the bottom right corner of our screen, you will see two buttons. You'll see one that says Sum and then Explore next to that. So let's first do that one to the left. If you click on the sum, you'll see immediately for the data that I've selected, it's summed those totals up, gives me an average, minimum value, maximum value in that range. Count is how many cells that I've grabbed. Do you need some more data other than that? Okay, then now let's just bounce just to the right. We're going to click on your Explore button. Your Explore button will pull up that same information up to the very top of our screen in that upper right corner. You'll see that we can grab any of those datas. We can also look at answers, and this is something that you can use. It's artificial intelligence by typing in your actual question about your data. Another helpful tool would be just below that, where you will see some different charts, depending on the type of data that you've selected. And what's really cool about these charts is you can actually either or grab a chart and drag it into your screen and let go. Or if you hover over one of your charts in the upper right-hand corner, you will see the option to insert the chart. Now, I'm not going to go too much into charts right now, but if you click on the three dots in the upper right of your chart, you'll see that you have some chart options. The chart editor, you can delete it, download it, copy it, move it to its own sheet, and so on there. For now, let's just delete this one. So that is your Explore tool and your Quick Sum or Quick Info button in that bottom right corner of the screen. And that will adjust anytime you're grabbing any data. It could only be a few cells you want to get the analysis of. There's my sum, average, minimum, maximum, and I've grabbed 5 cells. So I use that quite often, and a lot of times that will save you having to input any of your formulas. Now, another option that I use all the time is typically in either a sheet that I want to see different pieces of data in different ways, or with a sheet that I have shared out with coworkers. And probably one of the most common thing that people will do is they will grab all of their data or they'll grab their cell sets. And then in the upper right of the screen, they will click on the little funnel. Now, the funnel is going to be for creating filters. In other words, sorting options. I only want to see certain values and certain pieces of data in this filtered view. Now, with that, if anybody else is in this document at that time, they are going to be seeing what I'm doing, which could mess them up if they're trying to analyze their own data or data in another way. One of the coolest tools that you have here, you will find the little arrow just to the right of that with that filter view button. Now you'll know that you're in a filter view because you'll see black bars in the left and top sides of your data. Follow along. We've grabbed our data. We're going to go to the right side of that funnel filter button, and we're going to click on the little arrow, and it will drop a menu down, and we're going to click on Create New Filter View. Okay, so we've just created a filter view. Now with that, here is what we can do, and here's why this is such a valuable tool. I'm just going to click on Dismiss and get rid of that banner. In the upper left, you'll see it says Filter 1. Let's name this. Put your own name there. I'm going to put mine as GGG. Now I could choose a different range if I wanted to, if I missed selecting what I wanted to select, but I'm going to leave it as is. And now what I can do is I can filter all this data all day and not mess up anybody else's view that's currently looking at the spreadsheet. Because I'm in this filter view, I'm the only one that currently sees this. So I can filter away. How do you use filters? You see those little funnel type of icons, those little lines next to each header? Click on one of those and you'll see your sort options. Do you want it alphabetically? Do you want to sort it by color, the fill color or the text color? Do you want to filter by the color in terms of fill or text? So other than sorting, you can filter. You can filter by condition, filter by values. If we click clear all, it deselects all of the data, and then I can just say, I only want to see these 3 rows, and that's it. And it shows me what I want to see. Now, once again, I'm the only one that sees this. How cool is that? Now, here's another really cool couple of things to know about your filter views. One, in the upper part of our screen, the URL. You can actually share this URL with a coworker, and they can get to this filter view either from a chat or an email, as long as you've shared the file out, of course. But on another level, they can get right to this view without having to describe how you got here. They can just get right to it. Another thing is you can tell your coworker, go into the spreadsheet, go into the filter view pull down, which is that same pull down in the upper right that we went to, and we will see that name. So if we go to our main view, so let's just exit out of this. My coworker can come to the filter button, see the name that I've told them to look at, click on that, and it will take them right to the view that I want them to see. So that is filter views, which are a really, really helpful tool. All right, so here's what I'd like you to do. Let's exit out of this if you are in this view. I would like you to follow along in terms of, and you can do this from the data menu, and you will see filter views, create new, or you can go to your toolbar in the upper right, and here's what I'd like you to do. Click on the arrow, create a new filter view. Go to the upper left and give it a name. Click away. And from there, you can go to your little icons, because I forgot to select my data from before, but you'll see these little icons, and then you can see your sort options from there. Now you can also go to the upper right and go to the gear icon. From there, you can rename it, or you can just click in that field and rename it. You can update the range, you can duplicate, and you can delete them. So I'm going to delete this one. And now when I go back to my little icon in the upper right, I'll see only GGG and not GGG2. So that is what you can do for using filtered views. Got a couple more things and then we'll conclude. Another tool that I use quite often, especially in sheets that I inherit, and this kind of goes to my little OCD piece of making sure that things are correct, accurate, spelling-wise or numerically. Let's show you how to use the Find and Replace tool, because I've encountered way too many spreadsheets where people have botched spelling. And I'll get to that in just a minute. But here's something you can use for values as well as spelling. So let's do values first. We are going to go to the Edit menu, go down to the bottom, and click on Find and Replace. Now, if we look at my spreadsheet, you'll see that they've got 2015 here in column A1 and down. I want to replace all of 2015 with 2022. So find 2015. I want to replace with, and actually, let's bump it up a notch. Let's do it with 2023. I want to search all of my sheets, or I can just pick the sheet that I'm on, this sheet. I can search and match case, entire cell contents, and so on with options. I can click on Find and go through one at a time if I want, or I can go to Replace All, and you'll see in our A column, all of our 2015 data has now been changed to 2023. Get out of this, we click Done, and that is how you can use Find and Replace. So once again, what I'd like you to do is go to the Edit menu, find and replace, find, type in 2015, replace with 2023, search this sheet. Down at the bottom, you will see replace all, and then you can click done. Okay, now another thing that you have as an option to do is use that for spelling errors, but also just to make you aware, up at the top underneath the tools menu, you will see that there is a spelling option and you can use spell check. Now you can also use personal dictionary. If there's certain words that you use that the dictionary doesn't recognize, you can add those. Could be people's names, could be something other than that. Totally up to you, but you can utilize that as well. Your spell check, we click. In the upper right, window will drop down. No spelling suggestions. Great, we're all good. You could search all of your sheets to make sure everything is good. It will give you the option to replace if you wish, or you can ignore. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is part one of our Google Sheets interactive session. Thank you for participating. If you'd like to follow along again, once again, in certain areas maybe you want to jump to, go ahead and look in the description down below and you'll see the chapters that you can skip to. Well, with that, thanks for joining me today. And until we meet again, another day, another time, another tip, trick, hack, update, or in this case, a tutorial, look out for part 2 and we'll pick up right where we left off. Take care, everyone, and have a good rest of your day. Goodbye now.